Today on Smackey's Garage, we're going to be doing a simple project. We're going to be changing out the engine air filter on this 2015 Audi A4. Now this is going to be similar for a lot of different year Audis in the B8, B8.5 chassis. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. Now doing the project on this car, it's relatively simple. I'd say the only thing you need to do is you need to make sure you have the right tools to actually accomplish the job. So you're going to need a 7mm socket and you're going to need a T30 Torx wrench. Now if you have both of those, you're good to go. Now easy enough, open the hood. In the car we're going to work on the air filter box. So this is the 2-liter turbo, and as you can see mine has a great oil leak coming up the top, so another issue for another day. But here's the air box on the passenger side right here. We're only going to have to take off a few of the bolts to get this out, but it is, like I was saying, it's pretty straightforward. Now the service interval is like 15 to 30,000 miles. I do it typically every 3 oil changes, so I try to go 5,000 miles per oil change. So that means every 3rd oil change, I'm changing out the air filter. So let's go ahead, let's walk through it step by step, how to replace the air filter. So I'm going to be replacing it with this air filter from Pure. I was sent this by Transit Auto out of Canada. And I've worked with them in a few videos on other parts of my cars, specifically this Audi here, and so far so good. So we're going to go ahead, take this apart, and then we're going to put this in. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor. So quickly how I'm doing this is I'm going to disconnect the mass airflow sensor, take off this tube, take out the top of the air box, and then access the air filter that way. So to do this, all I have to do is slide this out. After it's slid out, I can just remove this clip and it's up. So now I'm either going to take the 7mm hex, the socket, or I'm going to take a flat blade and just loosen this. You know, I like doing this when the engine's a little bit warm, and the reason why I like doing it while it's warm is a lot of these tubes and pipes stay a lot more pliable, and then they're easier, in my opinion, to get on and off. Now you don't want it too hot, but you don't want it ice cold. So after that is off, I should be able to just slide it off of here, and then you can see now that I am completely disconnected. So now I can go ahead and work on the air box. Now these are the Torx bolts that you're going to have to take out. And if you live like me in New England, they're going to be probably just as rusty as the ones that you can see here. So I'm going to go ahead and take all these out, and then we're going to go ahead and lift this lid up and then show you exactly where the air filter is. Now for this project, I'm going to be using a Torx bit to take it out. So here's the T30 right here that we're going to be using, and you can see the shape of it. So if you're going to be working on your Audis a lot, this is really a set that you need to get, or a set similar to this to work on the cars. I'll make sure that I link this down in the description below, because I'd say most of the bolts on this car are going to be Torx style. Now I like to work at the hardest ones to get first. So all these are pretty easily accessible as long as you have a 1/4-inch drive to go with the kit and some extensions. The ones in the back are the ones that you need the extension for. And these bolts are captive bolts, so they won't come all the way out. They'll only just come out enough so they're still in the top cap of this. So you don't need to worry about them falling, but because of that, you also can't replace them easily unless you drill this apart. All that out, all I need to do is remove the air filter. Now with the air filter out, you want to take a vacuum and just clean up inside of here, just anything that's left laying around, because you don't want that to get into the engine. So just making sure this is clean is a good best practice for working on these cars, or any car really. And this side of the airbox you want to make sure is pristine, because that's the intake side. Now with that clean, I'm going to go ahead and take my air filter here and I'm going to just drop it into place. They aren't orientation specific, so after that's in, all I have to do is put the bolts back in and then put everything back together, and I should be done. Now it's important to make sure all these are seated correctly, because there are little pins that go into the holes when you're putting this in place. So just look around and make sure that there's no gap. So then I'm going to go ahead and just reattach this hose clamp. So I'm going to put this back into place, make sure that the hose is fully around the airbox. Put that all the way across. And tighten this back up in a place that's easy to get to in the future. And for all these, I'm not torquing anything to specs. Everything is just hand tight. And the last step is just to take this, plug it in, and then push that little tab back into place so that it's locked. And then you're done. So that's it. That's as easy as it is to replace the engine air filter in a B8 or B8.5 Audi A4. Thanks for tuning in to Smackey's Garage. I'll see you next time.